Our third reading comes from the book of Proverbs, chapter 8. Does not wisdom call and raise, and does not understanding raise her voice? On the heights beside the way, at the crossroads, she takes her stand. Beside the gates in front of town, at the entrance of the portals, she cries out, "To you, O people, I call, and my cry is to all that live. The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts long ago. Ages ago I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills I was brought forth, when he had not yet made earth and fields or the world's first bits of soil. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his command. When he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him, like a master worker, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the human race." Selah, most of you know, it's my 3-year-old daughter. We like to go on Target dates. I want to go somewhere that has soy ice cream, since I'm lactose intolerant, some good creamy espresso, cookies and cream kind of stuff I can get at Zanzibar or down on Clark. But she is content with an icy. So, fine, I'll pay $1.30 instead of $5. That's fine with me. So we're at our Target date on Friday, and we're sitting there, and there's this Romanian woman sitting at a table across from us, and she keeps waving at Selah and making noises at her and whatnot, and says, "Oh, she's so cute, she's a little doll," etc., etc. And then finally she says to me something about God, something about church, and I thought, oh, here we go. What do I have it written on my forehead? Pastor, talk to me about God. I mean, it's, everywhere I go, it's ridiculous. So she starts saying something, and she says, "Are you Catholic?" And I said, "No." I said, "I pastor a Protestant church down the street." She says, "Oh, that's wonderful, because I had a tract here I was going to give you from Moody Bible where I go to church." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's great, good for you, God bless you." And so she was starting to talk about things and tell me about her family and how she wanted me to pray for her son-in-law who was suffering from alcoholism and a number of different things. And then a little more back to Selah. And she eventually says to me, "Well, your church don't allow men with men and women with women, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." At first I didn't understand it. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we do." "Well, you know what God's Word says about that. God doesn't allow that. It's very clear. Pastor, these are your people. You have to lead them right. And if you give a door opening just this much for Satan to come in, Satan's going to come in and mess things up. You have to be careful about this." "Okay, thank you." End of conversation. So I left and went out the next night and did a same-sex wedding. Not even kidding, I actually did. It was already on the books. It's not like I went down to the boys' town and said, "Hey, anybody want to get married? I need a little redemption after my conversation at Target." That was already on the books. But what I'm wondering is, if Lady Wisdom is yelling so doggone loud that everybody can hear her, why are we hearing different things? Why does the voice sound like one thing to one of us and the voice sounds like something else to another of us? It doesn't make sense to me. See, I talk a lot about this still small voice, right? Sitting there in silence and being contemplative and whatnot and hearing the voice of God within. And that's true. That's real. We have to do that. But according to this passage, that still small voice wasn't always a still small voice, right? It was standing at the street corner of Main and State, screaming at the top of her lungs, saying, "Hey, listen to me. You want to know truth? I'll tell you truth if you'll just open your ears and listen." But unfortunately, we couldn't do that. We all wanted to play God instead. We all wanted to say that we had all the answers and that we should be telling people how to live their lives and teach them what truth is. And so we elevated ourselves to be like God, forgetting that we were a little less than God. And so all of the noise of the commotion of all our own ideas and all of the busyness that we put into our daily lives, all of the things that we try to use to appease us as we chase the almighty dollar or whatever form of happiness that seems to fit us for the day. And it gets louder and louder and louder until the yelling voice of Lady Wisdom becomes, at best, a still small voice, but most of the time, completely silent. You can't even seem to hear it. So if wisdom is something that has been imparted on us, if wisdom is something that delighted in humankind from the beginning, if wisdom is something that existed before the created order, then I open it up to you. What is wisdom? What does it look like? I know you love it when I ask questions, Dave. Wisdom is sometimes knowing that you don't know. Love that. Yeah.
Wisdom is learning to talk less and listen more.
Learning to talk less and listen more. Still working on that. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of what you said about that old saying about the two priests. There was the Zen priest, and one was a student of the other, and he says, "Master, what do you want in life?" And he says, "I want not to want." You guys getting any epiphanies this morning? I got it! Wisdom is... No. Too early, I know.
Wisdom is also experience, too. Sometimes you gain wisdom through experience.
Wisdom is experience. Experience. And I'm not asking this because I have all the answers. I'm asking you because I don't know. Yeah.
It's evolving.
So it's not one set thing. It depends on the situation. Fluid and evolving. Depends on the situation. Yeah. Okay.
I think wisdom is not having a closed mind.
Not having a closed mind. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if only we were all more open-minded and closed-mouthed. Yeah.
Following on what Ken said, so if you have an open mind, to me, it's more important than you have an open heart. And I think often wisdom gets confused with knowledge, acumen, and I think there's great teachers, spiritual people throughout the history of humanity that had open hearts, loving hearts. How that factors into wisdom, I'm not sure, but I think that's probably as good as we can hope for wisdom.
Open and loving hearts. That's a great segue to my next quote. So no, I did not came home to say that. Anybody else? What is wisdom? What does it look like? Because we do think of it as knowledge, right? We do think of it as some type of an intellectual understanding about the workings of the universe, whether they be mathematical or scientific or whatever. But there's something deeper, something about wisdom that informs us, depending on the situation. We know what to do instinctively, even though we don't know why we do. Yeah.
I think it's either attainable or available to everyone. Sometimes we see children say wise things, and it's not gender specific or age specific. Anyone can have this.
Yeah, right. It's not just for the wise old sages, right? It's wisdom is for everybody. Out of the mouths of babes. Jostein Gardner wrote Sophie's World, right? And he has this, it's a wonderful book if you've never read it, about this 12-year-old girl who on her birthday starts getting these letters from somebody who just signs the letters to the philosopher. And she'll go to the mailbox, she'll have a new letter, no postage, nothing like that, just to Sophie from the philosopher. And she'll read it, and there's all these teachings about the Stoics and about Plato and about all the intricacies of life. And at one point he says, don't ever grow up. Meaning that if a family was sitting at the table and somebody at the table, if dad floated up to the ceiling, mom would see that and have a heart attack and die. The kids would look at that and start laughing. Because that's just not possible, right? Kids are open-minded. Who says what's impossible? But as we get older, we close things off. No, that can't happen. That's not how things work. So in that same token of the open heart, the open mind, the compassionate, I was listening to kind of a turning of the tables. Usually Krista Tippett on a program called On Being on NPR interviews people, spiritual people, or she's interviewed the Dalai Lama or Sir Jonathan Sachs, the chief rabbi of Britain, physicists, whatever, right? But somehow puts a spiritual bent on it. And so Pico Iyer, somebody she's interviewed in the past, who is a traveling writer, a memoirist, had interviewed her instead on her new book. And so Pico said this about wisdom. He was talking about how he was at the site of the tsunami in Thailand, right? And the Dalai Lama was going there and giving his blessings to everyone. And he looked and he noticed that the Dalai Lama was crying as he was saying his words of wisdom. And he said this, he said, with the tears in his eyes at the tsunami site, he said, wisdom is being a human in the midst of being a wise person, imparting truth while feeling the suffering and helplessness that come before it. Right? It's not just this something up here, right? It's not knowledge, but it's something that's an entire part of every bit and fiber of our being. It's something that helps us to feel as human beings for one another. It's this deep compassion. It's the deep mystery that we can't explain as we feel pain when somebody else is in pain, when we feel hurt when somebody else is hurting. And so Krista Tippett responded, she said, wise people are those who walk through darkness, hardship, unexpected catastrophe, and integrate them into wholeness on the other side. Healed and whole, but not fixed, because of how they let hardship be part of them. We're always thinking that we need to be fixed. We got something wrong with us, so we need to go around fixing each other, telling each other, well, this is the way that things should be. This is the truth, this is what God wants, so this is how you can fix yourself, be more acceptable before God, forgetting that we were already created a little lower than God. Forgetting that the wisdom that was there in the beginning of creation is already within us. We don't want to try to elevate ourselves to think that we're God, that we can impart the truth to everybody as if we're speaking for God, but we also lower ourselves too far, don't we? We beat ourselves up. I'm a worthless, no good, son of a gun sinner, and nobody could find any good in me. So I'm going to grovel. Well, no, that's not healthy either. Right? We need healing, but healing is coming back to wholeness. It's not fixing us. Right? Yes, we're broken, but it doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. If God made us in God's image, and if God imparted on us wisdom, and if we were created just to be a little less than God and over the rest of creation, then by gosh, we should take hold of that. And we should find that wisdom that's within us, shut up our own version, and listen to what God has been saying from the beginning. And in doing that, we can experience this love and this compassion and this understanding for one another. It's not easy, but it can be done. Yet it says here, that is the way things were meant to be in the very beginning. So hopefully, we can turn down the noise and hear that still small voice till it becomes as loud as it was meant to be in the beginning.